At number 23, and no, we did not plan that. At number 23, we have the Michael Jordan 1997-98 Upper Deck game jersey autograph card, serial number added 23. And here to talk to us about it today, somebody who owns this card and who I know absolutely loves this card, the one and only Spinatron. Spino, number 23, this is easily one of the cards that's rarest on this list and is as high as it is. How do you feel about where it comes in on the Iconic 100?
I think people might argue either this or PMG Green might be the Jordan's best card, right? So it's a reflection of how Jordan can slot it among the top 100, among the vintage, highest graded vintage. I feel it's a little bit low, but 23 is a nice number for him, so I don't complain. Yeah.
We didn't plan that, to be clear. I love numbers, but this was all mathematical. We had 150 people who were polled. And when I saw this one sort of fall out at the end, I really smiled because, you know, it's great that it comes in at 23. It's ahead of some of the most iconic cards of all time. And the cards that are ahead of it are all well recognized and iconic cards. But you hit on something that I think is a common conversation. And over the last couple of years, I think it's shifted, but I kind of wonder why. And that's the question of what is Jordan's best card? Is it this or is it the PMG Green? I asked a well-known collector about 4 months ago in Basketball Card Fanatic what he thought. And he said it wasn't even a question. It was easily the Jordan Green. And that's not where I've stood on this. I don't want to have like an argument or have other people get mad, but like I've always felt like this is the card. And I'll talk about why here for a second. 1996 is where serial numbered cards started, and with some very beautiful serial numbered cards. And then 97, it got taken to a new level. And that year is really like the year of serial numbered cards. And the PMG Greens and Reds are really like the grails of the serial numbered insert cards. I get all that. I have the respect for them and have them very high. I rank them very high on the list, specifically the Jordan card. But this card, this is the first game jersey of Jordan, and he signed 23 of them. And of the 23, you know better than anybody, only a few are multicolored, really nice pieces off of the jersey. To me, it doesn't get better than that. It's serial number to his jersey number. It's just enough that it's feasible that you could find one at some point. To me, this is the Jordan card. And if I had any card in like that I could go out there and acquire, I think this is honestly, Spino, for me. I'm not just blowing smoke because you have it. This to me is the card that I would like to be able to acquire. How do you think about those thoughts? And how do you think about this card in general?
Okay, so we will talk about Jordan 90s card, right? There are two major companies, Fleer, Skybox, and Upper Deck. Both companies have their own strengths and attributes. So Skybox, obviously, they have their design, right? Their innovations,
yes.
The surface texture and rarity, and all the the penciling, everything, like the background in the Metal universe. But on the other hand, Upper Deck is known as try to bring fans to the game, right? They have the game used material, they have autograph. So that's basically two different categories try to clash. Which one is the better, right? As you mentioned, this first year game jersey auto, also known as a JJ13S, is the first ever jersey auto of anybody, right? And also there are lots of provenance attached to it because Upper Deck tried to acquire Jordan's jersey, but back then a player wear jersey for multiple games, and Jordan tend to keep them all. And there's one piece auctioned, I think Ron Harper won it, so they couldn't get a hands-on one. But back in 1992, I think recently the previous vice president of Upper Deck, he came out and told a story on this thing. So he and the president back then, they bid on this during the All-Star game, actually won after the All-Star game. And for large sum of money. I think it's 100,000, which is
Wow.
significant back then, right?
Right.
Then it's All-Star game. It's a very iconic All-Star game. It's the Magic return, right? And also very nice jersey. So I think I did a research on it. So I think out of 23, 10 of them are of color swatches. The card is very thin back then. It's not a like 99, 2000 super patch yet. It's very thin. So the only possible way to adapt patching it is screen printed patch. It's like the swatch, and they have the foresight enough to put those in, so they become the first patch auto also in some sense. So that kind of the provenance of the jersey inserted, and also the colorful swatch, and the impossibility to obtain any Jordan game used back then. So everything add together make it very iconic. Yeah, and also I think the moves, I also did a photo match of the both poses. One is dribbling and one is pull-up jumper. I think it's against the Drexler. It's in one motion, step back and pull up and switch. Yeah, so it's great card. And I think it's one of the card that there's one guy who has multiple greens. He also have multiple version of this card. So that's basically how he values it also. Yeah, so it's very hard to get it. And also the autograph is mostly disintegrated a little bit.
Yes.
The very nice bold autograph together with multiple color swatch will have a huge premium. Yeah.
Yeah, that I think is the ammunition that the guys who love the greens most will use, is they'll point out that the autographs on these aren't perfect. The surface wasn't perfect for the autograph, and then the pen wasn't perfect either. This is where, the multiple elements of really artwork come into play when you look at an autographed card, because you need the card to be well designed, you need it to have the right sort of surface, and then you need the person to sign it in the right place with the right pen. And you pointed out this is the first time we've seen an autographed jersey card. Upper Deck, I think it's fair to say, got some of those things wrong. They should have done a few things different. But having said that, let's look at the PMG greens for a second and talk about some of the things that aren't, perfect on those. Turns out that the innovation comes with an element of imperfection, right? That's how it is. That's how it has always been, and that's how it will always be. And so just because these cards aren't perfectly designed doesn't take away from anything in terms of how important they are to the hobby. Again, I've already said my piece. To me, it's the card from the 90s. It's the card in basketball. It's a dream card. And I think where it showed up on the list at 23, I think it's just one of those meant to be sort of things. Spino, do you have anything else that you want to say about this card?
It's also the during his playing days in the Bulls, right? It's the only jersey auto. And also people want to say, okay, he might have the Bulls jersey next, which can, in some purist eye, they prefer Bulls jersey sometimes, right? But the next year version, they have 6 variants. So that makes the rarity not the argument somehow.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that second year Bulls jersey autograph is still one of the most popular cards out there. It's just, this is the first one. And like you say, there's not 6 variations, there's one. The one last thing that I want to say actually on this one is that, you talked about how 10 of them you believe are multicolor, and some people now think of those as patch cards. As we've gotten further and further away from the origins, people use language in different ways. And I don't want to knock anybody for the language that they use, but I think of this card as a jersey card, because that's what it is. It's a jersey card. Some of them are jerseys, some of them are more premium patches. But I like what Upper Deck did a few years later, I believe in 1998, where they started, with the more, or 99. So 98 or 99, they started with the premium patches.
The super patch and the patch 99, 2000. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So until then, cards were distinguished as jersey cards. And And then in 99, they changed the game and they said, let's have patch cards and let's have jersey cards. Oftentimes those cards are distinguished by the name on them. Sometimes there will be a patch that's a parallel, and it comes with, as Spino talked about, a thicker card stock. But these were jersey cards. And the fact that some of them that were autographed also had the premium pieces on them is just, it's almost too good to be true. And again, I wish the autographs were better, but it's the card. And to me, every time we see one trade change hands for the rest of the history of this hobby, it will be a noteworthy event. And if anybody out there wants to sell one cheap, I know a guy who wants one. So, again, card number 23 on the Iconic 100 list, the 1997 Upper Deck Michael Jordan game jersey autograph. Tomorrow I'll be back with another guest for card number 22. And until next time, happy collecting.